Hi, I'm John Decker, author of the book and Bible study, Golf is My Life, Glorifying God Through the Game. This video is going to be on Chapter 6, Promises Kept. Before we get to Chapter 6, though, I would like to talk a little bit about the As Seen Through My Eyes, and that was written by former Georgia Tech basketball coach Bobby Cremins. Coach Cremins was very gracious in giving me a quote for the book, and I was very excited to talk to him on the phone and really want to thank him for his participation in helping me in this journey. My family and I got the opportunity to meet him several times when I was in high school, and that was through my basketball coach Bill Burris, who was a coach at Owen High School when I was there my senior year. And you'll read about this in this chapter. Coach Burris is actually mentioned several times during the book. But Bobby Cremins, again, I want to thank him for his participation. The biblical theme for Promises Kept is keeping your word or keeping your promise. There was two scriptures that I would really want to talk about in this chapter. It starts out with Matthew 27:62 through 64. And this is where the Pharisees go to Pilate and they talk about securing the grave. But I'm not going to really highlight that one. You can obviously read the scripture. Later on during the story itself of Promises Kept, we get to the ultimate promise, and that is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And this is the ultimate promise, and I wanted to really emphasize that in this chapter. Promises Kept is really about my brother Brett. He's the youngest brother I have. I have two brothers, Michael and Brett, and you've already read about Michael in the first part. Brett came along, and this chapter is really highlighting Brett. Later on, you'll read about my sister Shelby. But Brett was diagnosed with high-functioning autism, and what really makes this chapter so wonderful, and I have had a lot of people who've read the book, who've come to me and said that this chapter was their favorite chapter. It's one of the ones that's always listed as their favorite chapter, because Brett has two people in this book, or in this chapter, that make promises to him. One is Bobby Cremins. Bobby Cremins makes a promise to Brett, and Bobby Cremins delivers on that promise. And it was almost a year later that he delivered on that promise. And then later on, as Brett becomes an adult, as he's about in his mid-20s, he's 25 at this point in the story, Arthur Blank, the current owner of the Atlanta Falcons, former CEO of Home Depot, he makes a promise to Brett as well and keeps that promise. So this story is about really unbelievable people, and it's funny that they both came from the Atlanta, Georgia area that made promises to Brett as a young child and also as an adult, and they delivered on these promises. It's a wonderful story overall about keeping your word and keeping your promises. And then it ties up at the very end when Brett gets married to Claudette and the two of them have a daughter named Terry Lynn. And so the entire chapter, Promises Kept, it's about keeping your word and keeping your promise, which in today's day is very important, that we do keep our word when we make a promise to someone. Promises Kept delivers on that. I hope you enjoy the chapter and also the story about my youngest brother, Brett Decker.